Are you wondering how to scale up your high ticket sales team? You're in an online coaching business and you're trying to hit those 7-figure months, get off the phones, and then finally build that business that you've been wanting to create. Well, in this video, I'm going to share 6 very practical steps which will allow you to train your team to bring in more cash and to scale up fast. If you're looking for the best advice on high ticket sales, mindset, team training, you're in the right spot. Hit that subscribe button somewhere down below. Stay tuned for the next videos because I'm going to be dropping bombs. Okay, so let's get right into it. So I was working on some of the biggest sales teams in the high tech industry. I worked with Cole Gordon for 11 months. I worked with Alex Becker. I worked with Rudy Mawer. I worked with Eli Wilde, who has sold $100 million. And so I've had a lot of experience in seeing how these teams run. And it's very different from what most people think. So on Cole's team, Closers.io, for example, they are very much driven by the data, by the numbers. You would think that it's all about sales training, this and that and this and that, but no, you would be wrong. They know their numbers to a T. How good are you tracking your data, your KPIs? You should know these numbers exactly to the day. What are some of the numbers? Calls booked, calls that show up, offers made, sales closed, upfront cash collected, revenue contracted, and then the percentages. Okay, so percentage of live calls to offers made, percentage of offers made to calls closed, percentage of calls closed to revenue contracted, percentage of revenue contracted to cash collected, and then we want to be tracking like cash per call, cost per acquisition. There's many metrics that you want to pulse on. Number 2, one of the biggest problems that sales teams have is when they experience a slump. Oftentimes the marketing team and the sales team, they start going at each other. Marketing blames sales, sales blames marketing, and you are left at a standstill. The question is, how do you know how to diagnose who's to blame? Is it marketing or sales? So the best system that I found uses lead scoring. Okay, so what is lead scoring? Lead scoring is a system, a scale of ranking your leads from 1 to 10. So 10 would be the very best lead, someone who paid in full. Basically, 7 through 9 are people that have said yes, they paid. Anyone from 4 to 7, maybe they were good calls, they were kind of qualified, they went into follow-up because they didn't have the money or it wasn't the right time, or maybe their partner got involved or whatever, there's an objection there. Okay, from 2 to 4, those people were not very qualified. And then ones are like the people that show up on the call and you're like, how the hell did this guy manage to get into our funnel? Like, we're selling fitness and this guy was looking for DIY meth labs, you know? So the power of combining lead scoring with call dispositions so you can see how each call ended up is very simple. You can get immediate insight into what is the real problem. So if sales drop one week, you can go back to the last week and say, what was the average lead score across the whole sales team? Maybe it was a 7.2. And then you look today, this week, it's a 6.4. Okay, so look, the lead score did drop across the team. Awesome, we know it's a marketing issue. Other times, the lead score might go up. It might have been a 7.2 last week, now it's a 7.6. You're like, oh, okay, well, the sales team's dropping the ball. We have to review their calls, we might need to coach them. Maybe their conviction has dropped. What happened? Let's figure that out. So this gives you a lot of insight into what to fix. Data is the one thing that will actually scale up a sales team, knowing your numbers. So I got a question for you. How big is your sales team? Are you the business owner? Are you still closing? Are you the sales manager? Do you have many closers, a setter? What does it look like? Comment below, I want to know. And by the way, if you're getting leads that are coming to your call and they're not really knowing what your company does, your closers are having to educate them, that means you have a lead efficiency problem. You're not pre-selling them. So I actually have a video, I'll post it somewhere up here. You can watch that after this one on how to pre-sell your leads better so that your closers close more, they close faster, they make more money, you make more money, and everyone's happier. You're not wasting your time with these to use a lead scoring system like people that are like 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s. You want a strong pre-selling system in place. So click that link after this. This third step that you want to do is to make sure that your setters and your closers are tracking every single day. So for setters, we will track the leads that they were assigned yesterday, their total dials, their total number of sets, their total number of meaningful conversations, which are basically triages, 5-minute calls or longer. their total number of calls that were on the calendar today, the total number of calls that showed, because it is a setter's job to make sure their calls show. Number 3, the calls that closed, the revenue collected, their cash collected. We want a pulse on these numbers for the setters. You can also track their total talk time, their speed to lead, how many times they're working their leads, because again, lead efficiency is huge. We don't want to just get them into the habit of just looking for new leads all the time. We want to train them to work the leads that they get. We also want to make sure they're double dialing. We want to make sure that they're focused, that they're productive, and that the calls are showing up in the right state of mind. And so there's a lot of things we can do to tie them down to increase the show rate if that's an issue. For your closers, you want to track the number of offers made, the revenue per call, their closing percentage. You want to track their booked call to close, their live call to close, their offer to close, their revenue per call. You want to track their cost per acquisition. You want to know how many deposits are they collecting, because it might be way too high. You want to see how many calls it's taking them on average to close a sale, how many follow-ups they have to do. Is it 1 call close, 2 call close, 3 call close? That matters, because that gives you predictability into how much money you're going to make over the next few weeks. Again, it's so critical that you look at your entire sales process through the lens of data, okay, numbers. The real skill is being able to figure out, okay, is the problem here a lack of skills? Is it a lack of team fit, culture fit? Is it a lack of systems? Is our marketing the problem? Is the closer just not hungry? Is the salesperson just not hungry enough? Do they not have the drive? What is the problem? We need to be able to figure that out at a glance using the numbers. So number 4, you want to create a culture of high accountability, high performance, and results driven. So that starts with making sure that you're setting projections at the first of every month and that you're holding everybody on the team to these projections. The reason that we set projections is so that we can push our team to perform their best. And you really, really need to be holding both setters and closers accountable to the numbers that they set. That's called having a high say-do ratio, which is one of the core values on Cole's team. And I still live that to this day. So it means if I say I'm gonna get 20 sales this month, I better do it. There's no excuses. If a closer says he's gonna get 8 sales in a week, he has to do it. If a setter says I'm gonna get 5 sets per day, has to do it. There's no such thing as not hitting your projections. It just doesn't happen. It's unacceptable. It's called accountability. Really want to install a no excuses mentality within your team. So if your marketing goes down, guess what? Your closers and your appointment setters will find another way. They'll use organic, they'll hit up their pipeline, they'll cold call people, they'll do whatever it takes. You want to establish that mentality, that culture in your business, because that alone will have a massive difference. After you figure out your data, the culture is the second biggest thing, believe it or not. And so each meeting, you really want to figure out, okay, are we on pace for our numbers? So every setter should have a pace for how many sets closed they have, for how many sets they need to hit those numbers. So basically they got to know their set to close ratio. So if they set 5 people and 1 closes, they have a 20% set to close. So that means if they project 20 set closes for the month and they need, what is it? What's the numbers? They need 100 sets for the month. And a good setter can do that, but it's really good knowing every single day, okay, if I need 100 sets for the month, they can break it down by the days that they're working, which is usually 22. So let's say it's 5 sets a day, they give themselves a margin of error so that they might hit 110 sets for the month. That way they're going to go over and above it. For closers, they want to know their offer to close rate. They want to know those numbers so they can do the same thing. And then you would also want to calculate the pace of the entire sales team. What are we pacing for the month? Are we on pace? Are we off pace? And the way that you calculate pace, if you don't know, and so let's say that you are on the 10th day of the month, it's 30 days in the month, and you have 8 set closes, or you have 8 sales for the month. Well, what do? The formula is simple. You would take the 8, the number of sales, divide it by the day of the month that you're on, so 10, and then you multiply that by 30. So you would know just by looking at it that you're off pace, but in this case, you'd be pacing 24 in that specific example. So we spoke a lot about quantitative metrics, but it's really important to have a solid system in place to qualitatively evaluate both your setters and your closers. When I'm listening to a sales call for a closer, I like to listen to 2 parts of it. Number 1, the first 10 minutes, because that shows me how good the prospect is. Number 2, the last 10 minutes, because that typically shows me how good this closer is, how well they handle objections, how aggressive they are, how much they persist. Okay, so those 2 pieces will really shortcut. You don't have to listen to the whole call, you can just listen to those 2 pieces. and that will give you a really good pulse on how well your team is performing and what their skills are like and how good your leads are. And really one of the last but not least most important pieces of your sales team, of training them, is having consistent training across the board and daily reinforcement. So on your meetings, you should be doing role plays, trainings, call reviews, anything like that. That's super important. But also for new sales reps that join your team, you want to have an internal, almost like a course. Okay, so in this course, it needs to be everything that a new sales rep coming into your company would need to hit the ground running. From testimonials, to scripts, to what else? To contracts, to payment links, to your company's values, to your company's mission, to how to deal with refunds, to contracts, how they get paid, to how they follow up with leads, how they send out emails and texts to get them to show up, reminder emails, what your company's different offers are. You want the most common objections. You want role play calls and real live sales calls recorded so that they can go through them. You want sales trainings. You want beginning of day, middle of day, end of day processes. You want any information on your avatar, including the language they use, their top pain points, what they want. All this stuff really helps. You also want to give the sales rep training on your sales scoring system, your CRMs, how to best follow up with prospects. You want to give them any marketing assets and pre-selling assets that your prospects are seeing so that the closer knows the mentality of the person coming onto the call with them. For your setters, you want to know what are the leads that people are opting in for so that when they call them up, say, hey, this is John from so-and-so's company. I saw that you downloaded our ROI calculator. Did you get a chance to use that? Where the person's like,
ROI calculator, what the hell are you talking about? No, I downloaded a guide.
You don't want that. A really smooth system that anyone can just step into, go through a bit of training, and boom, they're up to speed. And so now that you know some of the basics of training up your sales team, if you're a business owner, you're an online high-ticket coach, you're an agency owner, whatever, and you're looking to get off the phones. You want to hire A players, you want to know how to train them, you want to have everything that I spoke about. You want this lead scoring, you want to be able to pre-sell your leads, you want the scripts to make sales easier. All those assets and systems so that you can really start hitting new revenue levels. We should talk. Somewhere in the description below, there should be a link to book a sales process audit with me. We'll jump on there for half an hour to 45 minutes and just jam. And I would love to see if I could help. Okay, so hit that button, schedule a call with me. I'm not gonna hard sell you. If I can't help, I'll let you know. If I can, I'll make you an offer and we can just go from there, okay? Hit that below. Thanks for watching, guys. And make sure that you watch this next video, which is all about how to review your closers' calls so that you know if they're good or not, okay? And what to change and what to fix. It's a sales call review. Check it out. All right, thanks for watching. Be great.